we're going to do something a little different and share with our readers a behind-the-scenes look at an editorial meeting. You've been reading the publication for a long time, but you don't really get a sense of what goes into the research and the dialogue in advance of a feature being written. So today we've got the editorial team lined up, and we're going to talk about showrooming. So guys, in our editorial calendar, we've got it written out as the showrooming phenomenon. It's a big problem in the United States, but showrooming is happening here too. Consumers going to bricks and mortar retail to check out products, then buying them online. How serious is showrooming? Where is it going? What can retailers do about it? And can they turn a threat into an opportunity? So it's been in the news quite a bit over the last couple of days. In fact, we were going to write about this in October, and we've bumped it up to our May issue because it's just so topical right now. Let's start by talking about that story that we saw yesterday in Australia, where the woman who owns a health store is now charging $5 for you to go into her store. She'll give it back if you buy something, but you guys think it's a good strategy?
No. I think frankly people are going to be turned off. Sure, if you have dedicated customers that see the value in the product in the store, you might come back and be like, okay, well, you know what, I'm going to buy it. You know, it doesn't matter if you've had to pay to get in. But the new customers are the ones that are shopping around, don't have any confidence in this store yet. What are they going to think when they walk in the store and are accosted for money right away? I don't see it being a positive.
Kind of lazy.
Very lazy.
Yeah. But, you know, we're down at CES, and you go into the Ferrari showroom, and they charge you $20 to wander around and take a look at the cars, which, of course, they'll rebate if you buy a Ferrari.
But there's a level, excuse me, there's a level of arrogance there, though, as well. Because, as you said, they refund the price if you do buy something. So essentially what she's saying is if you're not a buying customer, you're not worth her time. She doesn't want to provide you with her valuable insight. And I think the question she needs to ask is not, why am I wasting my time with customers that don't buy? It's why are they, in the end, not buying it from me? I think one of her arguments was that her pricing is competitive, so there's got to be another reason, and I think that's what she needs to focus on versus, you know, let me make sure every customer in here is going to buy something.
You know, when we write the article, I think that we got to figure out who's being affected the most by showrooming. Best Buy, for example, tends to be in every article as the prime example of a victim of showrooming. But do you think it's the big box that's being impacted, or is it the independent retailer? What do you think, Glenn?
I think, first of all, it's helpful to define our terms. Showrooming literally is go into a place, see, touch, and feel the product, but not necessarily engage anybody in a conversation. It's just before buying online or through some other channels, you want some physical connection with product. That's one thing, and I think that's fairly new because online commerce, in the big scheme of things, is fairly new. What's different and what's always been part of retail, certainly technology retail, is the issue of people picking someone's brains about a product, maybe spending a lot of time with a salesperson, and then going and buying it somewhere where it's cheaper, whether it's online or a big box or something. Two different but related phenomena. In the second, I think the salesperson has an opportunity to establish a relationship and make clear the value that the retailer is adding to the purchase.
You know, you go to Henry's and they introduce you to Micro Four Thirds. They listen to what you want to capture with your new camera. They suggest a bunch of lenses.
Well, they'll let you take a picture with a camera on your memory card, go home, try it out. They have a pretty generous refund policy.
But it's got to be so frustrating for a dealer like that, where they've provided a wealth of knowledge for the customer, and then the customer says, well, you know what, I'm going to think about that, and then they go to Amazon or wherever else it may be.
That's always been part of retail, always.
And it's not going to change.
The customer's right.
Can I jump in with somebody who's not affected by showrooming?
Sure.
Outside the box. Starbucks. Nobody goes into Starbucks, say, how much is your latte? How much is your American coffee? And then I'll think about it and then go to Tim Hortons. People have, I learned from a place called Video Warehouse in Ottawa when I first started writing for Marketnews years ago. And this was the first superstore I'd ever seen. It was an ex-supermarket, wide. He said narrow breeds claustrophobia and uncertainty, wide, makes it nice and open and user-friendly to walk around. And he said people have scrimp and splurge mentalities. There's stuff they'll spend money on and stuff they scrimp on. And for Starbucks, people don't mind spending $2.50, $5 for a coffee. The same people who bellyache about gas is $1.30 a liter now.
But you know,
You can't get a liter of Starbucks coffee for $1.30.
right? Okay, so you brought up Starbucks. They've spent a tremendous amount of effort and energy to create community within their stores. They've got an absolutely amazing app. So every day when I go to my Starbucks, pull out my phone, barcode my phone, I get my coffee. Every 12th, I think it's every 12th coffee I buy from them based on the loyalty program. My next one's free. Whatever I want, whether it's food, a latte, I could just get a small coffee every day, but if I want to get the biggest coffee, the most expensive one on my 12th, go for it. So they're creating that user experience. I think, you know, when I think of showrooming or an industry that is really being targeted by, say, an Amazon and online, it would be Chapters. Chapters is created, again, beautiful environments. They've got reader series, they've got a coffee shop in there. But if you can save $3 and buy the book at Amazon, chances are you may, which is kind of crappy.
It's interesting. When I was looking up information on Schultz coming back to Best Buy as chairman emeritus, there was a lot of blogs and comments on that. And I was noticing that there is some pushback against the web by people you can consider savvy users. Yeah, I could have got the same printer off Amazon that I got at Best Buy somewhat cheaper, but I would have had to wait 2 days. He said if I was saving a significant amount of money, I wouldn't mind waiting. But he said, this way, I went into the store and was able to test it, and although the specs looked good on paper, it wasn't ergonomic this, it wasn't performance that, and I wanted buying something else. And he said if he had to buy it on Amazon, he would have had to argue with them about sending it back and maybe...
Well, you don't argue.
No?
No, you don't argue with Amazon, you send it back.
Okay, well what does it cost them for shipping or...
Shipping back is included. There is no cost to you. Let's go back to what Gord said, because I think that that he may have suggested a way where showrooming could be avoided completely, and that is building the relationship with your customer. How many customers have a loyalty walking into a Best Buy that's understaffed? We can question the knowledge base of some of the floor part-time people. You walk in, you see that there's an LG panel for $800, and then you walk out, and then you go and do your research to see if you can get it for a price. That's, I guess, showrooming in its purest form, right, Gord?
That's literally what showrooming is, or that's what I understand it.
Yeah.
I think
But, so who's at fault there? Is it Best Buy for not creating a better enhanced service once the customer is in the store, pumping up their knowledge base with their customers, creating, you know, why are you walking out? You're there, the TV's there. You're gonna walk out for $50, $100?
I think it depends on the person's financial situation. Some people would rather put the effort in at shopping around and save the price.
But if
Or,
you're,
or have it delivered to their door.
For
too.
sure.
yeah, but if it's a financial thing, maybe you're going for a 42-inch, not a 50-inch, or you're buying within your price
But
point.
if the customer wants that 50-inch and knows he can get it cheaper elsewhere, that option's out there. Maybe they have to start considering price matching on Amazon.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a slippery slope,
I
but
went
it
to,
might be considered.
I went to a training seminar at the DX3 show. There's
Mhm.
a company called Catalyst who's done a complete white paper on showrooming. We did a whole bunch of studies on various retails across big box, across independents, within Canada, within the US, to determine who's the showroomer, why do they do it, and what you can do to combat it. She's typically female, by the way. In Canada, they found the sweet spot is 10%. If you're not within 10% of a price, of a cheaper price, people will leave a store, in other words, for 10% discount.
See,
And
that bugs me. And I
there's-
read your article online, and it was great.
Yeah,
but
there's, I mean, different ways that they were talking about how you combat it. I mean, one of them is, you know, like Starbucks, the experience, and it's not so much having the relationship with the customer, because that's not realistic for the mass, you know, the masses, maybe for a few local people here and there, but not everyone's going to have a relationship with every retailer that they buy from, whether it's technology or coffee or music or whatever. But it's also, you know, matching the price, because people want, whether their financial situation is great or bad, people always want the best price they can possibly get on certain categories, as Wally mentioned. It's not necessarily.
see, I want
across the board.
service over price.
You want service as well.
The price has got to be within range,
But as you said, I mean, people can get great service from Amazon. They don't necessarily have to go into a store to get great service.
In the
Good
late
point.
80s, I interviewed Fred Steiner, the founder of A&B Sound, which was a big player at the time, and Future Shop was just starting up. Steiner said that if this unit is $300, the price is the price. You can't sell it to one person for one price and another person for another price. And recently I was speaking to a longtime independent who's been in business over 35 years. He's had some tough times. And when I used the term price matching, he said, "Oh, you mean letting somebody else dictate how you run your business?" And I think price matching might be a thing for a retail tips
Tail
column
wagging the dog.
on its own.
Yeah.
But I think it gets back to the experience.
But you know, we've really kind of tackled the you know, the user experience that the retailer has to create to engage the customer. But there's got to be a bit of fault line with the customer. You know, do they not?
Of course, yeah.
You know, it's like, you know, you go and shop in other, you know, cross-border shop just so you're going to save a few bucks, and then our unemployment rates go up, or we.
Well, if you want,
Where is there a loyalty, or is there a value to have independent storefronts on a main street where you have the convenience and the ability to establish those relationships we talked about? You know, the consumer's killing that because they don't care anymore. They just, screw it. If I can save $10, I'll save $10. I don't care what you've done.
if you want an interesting, a personal example, I bought a pretty expensive stroller while I was off last year on maternity leave, and I knew the one that I wanted to get, but I wanted to actually see it, feel it, touch it. I went into a little boutique shop in Toronto. Somebody walked me through the whole thing, thought it was great. I ended up buying it used on Kijiji. Flash forward a year, and there was a recall on a part of it. I went back to the store. Actually, I didn't physically go to the store. I went to their Facebook page. It came up on my newsfeed one day, and I thought, oh, you know what, let me check with them and see if I can get the recalled part from them. They responded within 5 hours. Our sales rep has one in the back for you. Come get it, no problem. I was very open. I didn't buy it from you. I actually bought the replacement part from them, which was $30. And I thought, you know, man, it's just,
How bad do you feel, Christine?
so guilty. And now I feel like, you know what, their pricing is not as cheap as you can get elsewhere, but
Yeah.
I will.
How much well, you bought it used, but
Yes.
if you had bought new for new, how much do you think you would have saved if you had bought it at, I don't know, maybe Toys R Us has a special, special online for higher end stuff, I don't know.
At least 60%. It was a huge difference.
Oh, it's a huge difference.
So you mean if I bought it new somewhere else versus that store?
Yeah, new versus new,
Oh,
not new versus old.
a
Used.
couple $100 maybe. I mean,
And that goes
I
back
don't
to your
think
point, you know, that's real coin.
but I think, oh my God, I was a showroomer. You know, how guilty, like you said,
But
do
I
I feel? But
think-
now I think the way that this retailer has responded to my needs has been more than gracious, and I thought, this is a store I will go back to, knowing that, you know.
I think people don't, most people don't really put that much legitimate thought into the fact that they're showrooming. They just think, you know what?
They're researching.
Yeah, they're saying, I'm researching, I'm shopping around, this has been going on since the beginning of time, shopping around for your best deal.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that the digital space is now out there and competing with the physical guys.
Yeah.
So that's something the retailers have to battle against, right? Like it's,
Yeah.
you know, if they're not, you know, Wally's right about the price matching, companies don't want consumers to totally dictate their business. But if you don't let them dictate a little bit, you might be out of business.
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem. Consumers are dictating your business now as much as retailers don't like that.
Hey, so
reality.
wait a sec. Going back to your stroller,
Yeah.
have you said anything positive about that boutique retailer in any kind of social media, or shared that
I
with?
will actually. I haven't done it yet. This has just happened about a week ago, but
Yeah.
I do plan to, because the message I sent to them was a private message through their Facebook
Yeah.
page. It wasn't, you know, I was using their page to
Yeah.
rat them out and hope that they'll.
So now you become
feel
so now you're an ambassador for the retailer,
Exactly.
even though you didn't make your initial purchase there.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
going back to the Australia lady who's completely grumpy and is just angering her customers, yours was a positive experience. You didn't buy it there, but they still helped you.
Yeah.
So there's a message there too.
Exactly.
I think.
Guilt the customer into
The customers are the lifeblood of a business.
Yeah.
Why do you want to shut them off?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, Wally, you finished it up.
Well, we've got this Apple piece coming out, and a couple retailers said to me about that, said, there's nothing in my store that anybody needs. Everything in my store is something that people want. So if they're in my store, I know they want to be here. They don't need to buy a microwave. They don't need to buy a washing machine. They want the iPod or a Samsung phone or whatever. They need are served elsewhere. So they figure that they're starting from an advantage point there.
Yeah.
So if you think the customer's in your store because they want to be there, I think you're way up, and
Yeah.
the experience can make it
Yeah.
a desirable place to be.
Yeah. You know, I think that we always focus within our own industry, of course, and talk to retailers within the CE, but maybe talking to someone like a Chapters for this, or even a Gregorian. So I think HMB is kind of in a bit of the doldrums. It's not a very positive experience for me to go in there. They rarely have inventory. And yet there's Gregorian, which has kind of hit a niche with jazz and classical. They're well stocked. They've got a nice atmosphere. There's one in the town square in Oakville, and they seem to be doing very, very, very well.
H&B is not just a music retailer though. So that's
Yeah,
where
but
that's where it's changing.
I think they're grappling for straws. I think, okay, that's not working for us anymore. We better sell T-shirts.
Yeah,
I don't know, they
think
had
what-
$245 million last year. No, I forget whether that's profit or but they weren't in the red.
Yeah.
Each in Canada.
Yeah, and
HMB
I'm buying
Canada.
CDs.
Yeah.
We all do because
Yeah.
we want the higher bit rate.
Well, Gregorian's, L'Atelier Gregorian's a good example of a retailer that knows what it is, that picks the spot. And I think, a difference between a bricks and mortar retailer and an online retailer, especially in areas like books and music, is in bricks and mortar you can discover stuff that you didn't know you were interested in. You can go into a bricks and mortar bookstore, start reading a book on a shelf from an author you didn't know about.
You could
and take it
arguably
home.
do that through Amazon. They'll give you suggested titles based on your likes.
But there's something about a shelf of books in front of you that gives you the opportunity to discover. You can do that, and they're pretty good with their, whoever bought this also bought these or recommended
It's a lot more of a
these.
process online. than
But
in
you're
store.
doing a lot of clicking.
Yeah.
So it's
It's kind of the really random discoveries, not the engineered discoveries, are easier to make in bricks and mortar.
yeah.
The surprise discoveries.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a good article. I think it should be very topical. You've given us, hopefully we've shared with you a little bit of how these articles come to life. And if you've had an opportunity to watch this, we most certainly encourage all of our readers to contact us, phone us, mail at marketnews.ca if you want to email us, and provide your insight. And you may be running a retail store that has done some unique things that you'd like to share. We'd love to hear from you. And so thanks for joining us.